So we found that the latest piece of research out of Russia was actually that multi-agent systems was one of the best ways to go about solving this problem of optimizing with data sets that are continually updated, just like we update our plans. And I put in a small quote here, just for, because I don't want to blame anybody in the industry around this. This is a really hard computational problem. There's not many who can solve it. But the basic idea that we often find is that the optimizers, they're trying to optimize across all entities, and then the problem grows so enormous that we can't solve it with those classic methods. So we need to move beyond that. So just to conclude, for those who said, oh, I think I clipped the coffee level here, I need to rephrase. The point here is that with information processing in a batch of one, I say that our planning systems can be responsive and interactive, so we can perform that supply chain optimization. The posit, which we pursued, was basically to change this and say, with the multi-agent system, as that way of putting up a virtualized S&OP process around the ERP system, we can actually do supply chain optimization because we can assess consequences before we commit. So how does these multi-agent system work? And the slide almost explained itself, that for every object there is in that virtual world of your virtualized sales and operations planning system, you need some agent to look after it. And it's a bit like Mr. Smith here from Matrix, for those who know him. But they have to react to every event. And these agents then, they communicate just like in a social network because we need the same dynamics. And they make arrangements for real-world clients like me, like Carol, who sits in customer service, and so on and so forth. And this again produces our new schedules, our new forecasts, up to date all the time in milliseconds. Because all we got to compute is figure out not how do we solve the whole problem and the whole problem anew, but we solve it incrementally. And that incremental operation is a lot less computationally intensive. Let me give you a simple example. I got 5 numbers I want to add up. I do that once. That takes me a runtime of 5 CPU takes, right? Now I update the data set. I add 1 new number to it, still computing the average. If I run it from scratch, I now need to add up 6 numbers. And when I got 1,000,000 numbers and I add just 1 number, if I calculate the average based on this, I have to add up 1,000,000 and then add up 1,000,001, just because I updated the data set. This is much easier. I just store the old result, and then I have 1 plus 1. So now my runtime is down to 2 from whatever insane amount it was before. So the last bonus, which is really beneficial, and I put that at the bottom so nobody can see it, is that this network here can co-evolve with your business. If you get a new type of pallet put in, you just insert it. You see what are the consequences, because you don't have to commit it all the time. So you got that dynamics, those dynamics. And here's again very visually explained that when I run my old school optimization process, what I experience is that the moment I put in the first update in the data set, I have to reset my computation. It takes some runtime, and then I get a new actual schedule. However, I'm going to have a gap because I missed out on some updates in the actuality of that schedule. And that's why evolutionary methods are much, much better. Okay? They give us a possibility to catch up very quickly. And here, really, the idea in short is that when your frequency of updates in a global information network, when they increase in frequency, your schedule over here is going to be much, 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 much more out of date, unless you can incorporate those changes in information immediately. So that's where we said this, when we grab the bull by the horns here, then we are getting somewhere. I shouldn't show you this slide here, but I thought, somebody's going to ask, okay, this software is going to be expensive if we need to revise a lot. What's the bottom line on it? And we did a little scheduling test for Lego's branded retail organization, which is Lego's own store. Reason number 1, because it is completely under the control of the Lego group. And when we're doing scientific research, we would like to kind of keep control samples, makes it easier. And then we basically looked at what's our current practice going on in the way that we do things. And how is it actually that we calculate a lot of our forecasting. And that gave us this result on the profit potential. Now, we've taken old data, put it into our system, and repeated the experiment saying if we use the procedures that we use for the same data, we produce this result. We drop 44% of our performance based on just doing what we do always compared to if we invented a new method. And then we said, okay, how much does this lead time, how much does it matter actually to be in real time? And as we could see, when we improved the timing of the process, but kept it down here, we could actually get some significant improvement on actually capturing that potential. One of the guys, he then said, you know, I don't believe in this trend line forecasting. I think we can do that smarter as well. So we just took the regular portfolio tournament forecasting process and just say, for every single SKU, for every single location, what does the demand look like the last 4 Mondays, the last 4 Tuesdays, the last 4 Wednesdays, and then calculate your stock profile for that. Let's follow that, and then put a little bit of statistics into it. And bang, with a very simple probabilistic forecasting, we start actually getting and harvesting some of the potential. Now, the obvious question for those who are academically inclined, they would say, okay, how far can we go? And we think that because there's still some constraints which we haven't solved here, I think there's an upper limit of how responsive we can get that hits that ball about 90%. Okay? The cynic controller down in the corner would say profitability is easy. Come on, guys. You know, a single KPI, anybody can do that. But we actually ran it on all parameters, being both profit and service level and lost revenue and on costs. And what we see is from the current practice that we had, our profit, of course, went up. Our revenue, our service levels went also up with 20 percentage points, a third up. And our lost revenue means the sales which was coming into the stores, but we didn't have the possibility to anticipate and place stock out there, also disappeared. And though we never have the perfect plan, we actually need 5% more in distribution costs, we still achieve a lot. By the way, the cost over here, they have, when we talk the profit, they've already been deducted. So if you looked at the profit, you would probably say, yeah, put somewhere up around 35 percentage points. So why is this a problem for the future supply chain when it wasn't yesterday? Okay, why do we need to virtualize our S&OP process? Okay, good question for you guys. I'll give you 20 seconds for that one. Why do we need to virtualize our S&OP business? We'll depend on our peers to do it. We'll, you know, still have a lack of delay caused by the delay. So what is it that takes us to that step?